Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the Walmart attack in Virginia. Was apparently committed by an employee, but was that employee the beginning of the rise of the Mexican jokers? For those who don't know what I'm referencing specifically Beware of the Mexican Joker. South Park reference, obviously. It's essentially what it is it's basically government creating something, and then that thing gets out of hand and becomes basically insane, is what it is. And it does go back to something that happened in 2020, obviously, which is when you lock people down for a year and a half of our lives, you start creating crazy people. Is what it is, dude. You got people who are, that thin veil of civility, thin veil of veneer and stuff like that just go fucking nuts, And who's to say if there wasn't Mexican jokers created during that time, dude? Wasn't just a bunch of fucking nuts ready to snap is what it is, dude. It would make sense. It would make a logical sense, honestly. But yeah, so we found out that the guy was apparently a supervisor, an employee, manager, whatever we're gonna call him there, at the Walmart. Had apparently a handgun and started capping his colleagues and other people apparently. So, but yeah, here's a picture of this crazy looking motherfucker. I'm not actually sure because it doesn't really specifically state race, but honestly, like the guy looks like he could be either black or Latino or mix of both, maybe even. So, but yeah, crazy fucker for sure, though, man. Real crazy son of a bitch right there. And yeah, just a sad situation all the way around, man. But as this article said here, though, it was talking about him having a handgun and multiple mags with it. Interestingly enough, just like the dude in Colorado Springs that did Club Q, it seems like neither one of them had any kind of social media presence, which is very unlikely these days, man. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, are the feds pre-scrubbing this shit at this point to make sure that these people don't have any social media presence and stuff, dude? Especially if these are all false flag attacks and stuff like that, which makes sense, honestly, logically speaking, because again, going back, 3 years ago to Dayton, Ohio, and the massacre done by that Antifa and BLM affiliated piece of shit. You had that motherfucker do his massacre about 13 hours after the El Paso, Texas tragedy in that Walmart. And the big difference there was you had the Fed boys scrub the shit out of El Paso immediately. They didn't do that with Dayton. And I think it's because the dude that did Dayton went too quick. I think it was supposed to be another day or two before he actually went and did his crime, is what it was. And because he went, within that like half a day time span or whatever it was, they didn't have time to go on to Twitter and Facebook and everything else like that and delete all the social media presence and stuff like that. And that's how we were able to find out that piece of shit was, affiliated with BLM and Antifa, Elizabeth Warren supporter, total communist, fucking piece of shit, had what should have been multiple criminal histories in his youth and stuff like that when he was underage and shit, when he was doing the rape and kill list in his high school and stuff like that, and then apparently had charges dismissed because most likely his parents bought somebody off, is what it was, local cops or whatever it was here in Ohio. But yeah, it's just interesting to me that you would have like multiple attacks in, just as many days, and all these people have no social media presence. Like, it doesn't make any sense, dude. It makes zero sense at all, unless these are all staged, is what it is. And like I said, it makes sense when you look at it from that perspective of everything right now that we're seeing, especially post midterms. Now that Democrats know they're going to lose the House and the Senate runoffs going on and stuff like that. I think 100% they're trying to do this stuff to pass a bunch of gun control, dude. I mean, they basically already admitted as much at this point. You got fucking dickhead Biden last week after UVA basically going on the whole thing of this is why we need to ban so-called assault weapons and everything else like that. And it's like, when you realize from that perspective and stuff, and you realize that's their end game is, tyrant's going to tyrant, it makes sense, actually. But anyway, going on to read this other article here from Breitbart, though, because I think they're a better source than fucking Washington Post was, actually. But yeah, it says Walmart gunman identified as, and we're not going to mention the piece of shit's name by name, with company since 2010. It said, who opened fire in Chesapeake, Virginia, Walmart on Tuesday night, killing 6. Has been identified. Said Breitbart reported that a gunman who opened fire was a store employee with a pistol, and apparently a supervisor at the store as well, is what it was. So, yeah, just a sad situation all the way around. That dude looks fucking nuts, especially in the other picture I was showing a minute ago. He had like Captain Crazy Eyes going on, man, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and you realize, like, when it comes when I talk about MK Ultra and stuff like that, from the perspective of like the possibility of like, mind control and shit, dude. And you see these people with these dead eyes, like, yeah, 100%, dude. Like, that's what they would look like, because they would be in that like trans. What am I trying to say now? They would be in the like secular transition or whatever of being in that like kind of like snap, I guess is what you would say, to the point where they would not be able to actually show that they would be something else, is what it is. And it would be one of those situations where 100% like you would have like those like almost like dilated crazy eyes, is what it is, because of the fact that you're, in that like trigger phrase or whatever you want to call it there. I'm trying to think how I'm actually saying it, but I think I did pretty well on that one. But anyway, yeah, there's like actual terms for it, but I'm trying to think of offhand right now. But again, my mind's kind of everywhere is what it is right now, dude. But anyway, yeah, the whole point is, though, it's like, it's fucking nuts, dude. Anyway, so CNN spoke with 2 law enforcement sources, an eyewitness and a source familiar with the matter, and ascertained the gunman was a manager who served as team lead in that Walmart's overnight shift. He was a guy that was stalking the place, is what it was. So, wow. To move off that for a second, actually. Would-be disinformation czar Nina Jankowicz, now a registered foreign asset. How the fuck is that cunt even still in our country, dude? How is she not being arrested for high treason at this point, man, for real? Et cetera, et cetera. Same thing going up a little bit there. Yeah, you got fucking ass clown Biden pushes greater gun control action after Walmart pistol attack. We're going to go ahead and read that here in a minute as well. Fuck this fucking guy, man. This cheating son of a bitch and the fucking they're asshole cheaters that have no ability to actually hold power in this country. Like I've been saying for months, dude. I do not look at the federal government as legitimate at all at this point, and neither should anyone else for that matter, because it's not, and it hasn't been for 2 years at this point. So, anyway, they hold no power to do anything. Biden doesn't. Warnock and Ossoff don't, et cetera, dude. And I would go further than that and say Pelosi, Sowell, Ro Khanna, that dumb motherfucker Ted Lieu, piece of shit Dianne Feinstein, fucking worthless cunt Maxine Waters, et cetera. None of them are holding power legitimately at this point. So, anyway, as I said here, NBC News noted that Walmart released a statement in which they said that this asshole had been with the company since 2010. Said, City of Chesapeake tweeted, "We are still communicating with victims' families and will release the information as soon as possible. We can confirm that 31-year-old shooter was a manager at the store. He was armed with a handgun and had multiple magazines on his person." It was weird, though, because even, like, Washington Post and stuff like that was trying to bring up the fact of, like, oh, he had no body armor. Like, having body armor is a good or bad thing, honestly, dude. Again, look at the guy who came into Dayton, dude. He was a fucking dipshit who was too stupid to actually get rifle caliber rated fucking plates in his body armor. And that's why the Dayton cops were able to kill his fucking ass that night. Because it took an AR-15 to fucking put a bullet through that dude's fucking skull, basically. And a couple through his chest as well, for that matter. So, anyway. Where is that now? Yeah, it says 27-year-old. I don't even know how to pronounce that girl's name, dude. I think it's a girl anyway. Chandrea. Shaundraya. Reese worked with this piece of shit at the Chesapeake Walmart from 2014-2018. Reese told NBC that he didn't do social media. Okay, so it's possible then. It said he put tape on his phone on the camera. Always used to tell us the government was watching. Oh, Jesus. Of course they're going to try to make it like that now. Fucking hell, dude. Oh, it was some conspiracy theorist that did the massacre. Fuck you. I call bullshit on that chick's entire statement, dude. This is just a girl looking to get 15 minutes of fame right here. That's what that is, dude. Yeah. And the thing of it is, dude, you can't sit here and honestly tell me that fucking CEOs of Fortune 500 companies like Facebook, etc., dude, don't do the same shit. Don't put tape on the fucking cameras of their phones. Most of them don't even fucking carry a smartphone, actually. They carry like a little Nokia fucking old brick is what it is, dude. And honestly, I remember hearing stories years ago about Zuckerberg specifically. He would take I believe it was a headphone jack thing that you would plug into the headphones or whatever to make it so you could actually listen to music or whatever, and then like snip it somehow with a pair of scissors or something, and it would just be like that little teeny piece is what it would be then, so you could actually just have it be like no sound being able to be like recorded or whatever on phones and shit. I don't know if that actually works or not, but that's one thing I heard a few years back is what it was. I thought was interesting. So anyway, continuing on here. So Walmart CEO Doug McMillon used a Facebook post to lament news of the Walmart employees alleged carrying out of the store shooting, saying, quote, "The devastating news of last night's shooting at Chesapeake, Virginia store at the hands of one of our associates has hit our Walmart family hard. My heart hurts for our associates," because they can't call them employees anymore because they're fucking douchebags, "and the Chesapeake community who have lost or injured loved ones. We are here for them today, and in the challenging days ahead, they will have our support." This is why you carry at work, by the way. So in case your fucking nutcase coworker tries to fucking kill you, you can fucking kill them first. Seriously, bro. Why the fuck do people think I'm armed every time I walk into a Walmart? Because of shit like this right here, man. Anyway. Says Breitbart News reported that Walmart banned customers from openly carrying firearms or handguns in the stores for self-defense in 2019. Doesn't matter in constitutional carry states, because like fucking have it, dude. So, or if you have an actual concealed carry license in states where you can, again, doesn't fucking matter because it's going to be on your person and hidden on your body. Anyway, said CEO McMillan announced the open carry ban, saying, "We believe the opportunity for someone to misinterrupt a situation, even in open carry states, could lead to tragic results. We hope that everyone will understand the circumstances that led to this new policy and will respect the concerns of our fellow shoppers and our associates." Fuck you, Doug McMillon, you fucking piece of shit. Your bitch ass directly helped lead to this fucking massacre, asshole. And I seriously fucking hope that every single dead person's family sues the fuck out of you, sues the fuck out of the Waltners, and fucking owns Walmart when the shit's said and done, bro. That's what needs to happen at this point, seriously. It's fucking bullshit, bro. Anyway. Continuing on. We got asswipe Biden, the fakest of fake presidents in this country, put out the following bullshit. Pushes greater action on gun control after Walmart employee allegedly kills 6 with pistol. Not alleged. He did it, is what it is. Of course, Breitbart has to say allegedly because of, we're not 100% sure kind of thing. We don't want to get sued kind of thing or whatever. Fuck that. I'll just say it like it is, dude. It's been admitted this motherfucker killed a bunch of people and then put a bullet in his own head is what it is, dude. Because he's a pussy-ass bitch who, instead of just killing himself, decided to kill a bunch of fucking other people, innocent fucking bystanders, other employees of the store, etc., and then take himself out. That's what I can't stand about these motherfuckers, dude. Like, if you're gonna kill, seriously, bro, if you want to add to the homicide rate by firearm for suicides in this country, go right on ahead, motherfucker. But don't be taking out innocent people with your bitch ass. Especially right before the holidays. And it said, cocksucker Joe Biden called for greater action on gun control after a Walmart employee with a pistol allegedly killed 6 people in Chesapeake, Virginia, Tuesday night. Said Breitbart reported that 6 people were shot and killed around 10 p.m. inside Chesapeake Walmart last night by a gunman. Said CBS News noted that Chesapeake Police Chief Mark Saliski indicated the gunman used a pistol. Asswipe Biden, dimensional old pedophile fuck, responded to the news of the incident by pushing for more gun control, because why not? Because why wouldn't you, tyrant? You're going to be a fucking tyrant. Why wouldn't you tyrant, dude? You're always going to be a tyrant. That's the whole point entirely, dude. Tyrant's going to tyrant, man. Especially when they're holding power illegally in this country. Anyway, Said in a statement released to the White House, dipshit Biden lamented the deaths as they occurred days before Thanksgiving. He then reminded the nation that he signed new gun control laws during the summer of 2022, illegitimately, by the way, I'd like to point that one out, as well as the fact that they are unconstitutional as fuck and will be fought in the court of law very soon, and claim the need for even more bullshit control, saying, this year I signed the most significant gun reform in a generation, but that is not nearly enough. We must take greater action. Yeah, to remove your fucking cheating ass from office, you high treason piece of shit. Which is what every single federal agent should be doing right now. Is getting off their lazy asses and arresting your ass for fucking theft of a bunch of stuff, dude, as well as Warnock, Ossoff, and a bunch of other people for that matter, dude. Like I said, federal government's not legitimate. It hasn't been for 2 years at this point. Says Bretber pointed out that Biden's bullshit. Push on assault weapons ban after the November 13, 2022 handgun attack resulted in deaths of 3 people with the UVA football players. Said press secretary Karana Jean Prairie, her chick's name, made the gun control push the day after the UVA shooting, saying, earlier this year, Biden signed the most significant gun safety. I love how they always say gun safety. It's not gun safety, you fucking clown ass bitch. It is 100% fucking gun control by tyrant motherfuckers who have no legitimacy to anything at this point, who are fucking child molesters, who have raped dozens of kids in their fucking lives. And yet you want to see her keep pushing this bullshit. The only gun safety is having a fucking firearm to defend yourself, one, against a tyrannical government, which is why the Second Amendment was created in the fucking first place by our founding fathers, and 2, against goddamn psychotic maniacs that these motherfuckers keep letting out of prison. Anyway, I'm not even going to bother reading the rest of that bullshit statement, but yeah, it's just a bunch of BS is what it was, dude. It's a bunch of crap, dude, is what it is, honestly. I'm sick and tired of it. I think everybody else is too, for that matter. But, yeah, I was watching a video earlier on Breitbart's YouTube channel of that AWR Hawkins guy talking about the difference between an AR-15 and an assault weapon. It's like, there is no such thing, you jackass. The only thing that you're talking about there, buddy, is you're talking about semi-automatic versus fully automatic, something that every American should be able to legally own without any kind of tax stamp or anything else for that matter. What he was specifically talking about was the difference between an AR-15 and then another gun that was basically very similar to an MP5 that had the ability to have a safety selector switch for burst and then full auto capabilities on it is what it was. Which, mind you, because of how our fucking stupid ass, retarded, bullshit, unconstitutional legislation that passed, almost 9 decades ago at this point, the NFA 34, which has been unconstitutional since then, by the way, 88 years of tyranny at this point. Since that bullshit, you have had Americans have to pay $200 tax stamps to have full auto and stuff like that, dude. And then, of course, Hughes Amendment also fucked us in the ass in 86 then, which was years in the making. And it was actually, interestingly enough, if you actually look at the term assault weapon back in those days, it was around like 84 to 86 is when they really started pushing the whole term assault weapons, what it was. And I believe it was either right after the Hughes Amendment or like a year or two after that's what it was, like the 88, 89, somewhere in there, is when you had an attack in California that directly led to them becoming a first state to have an assault weapons ban, is what it was. After some dude he did like some kind of small massacre is what it was there, using like Hellfire triggers and some kind of a, like Tech 9s or something like that is what it was. And then that was when Feinstein, I believe, that was right before she took U.S. Senate seat is what it was. And she was still, I think she was mayor of a city at that point. I could be wrong about that. Or maybe that was her first term in office as senator then. I know she was a mayor back in like the 70s and 80s, though, in California there. And then, interestingly enough, actually, I was watching a show here a few months ago is what it was. And it was, what's that show called? It's the one that Donnie Wahlberg hosts, where it's like different serial killers and stuff over the decades and shit. And he was basically talking about one that was in California there. And he was discussing how Feinstein was actually the mayor of the city at that point then, in that time period. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But anyway, the entire point is that you had Feinstein basically help pass the crap there in California. And then when she became a sitting U.S. senator then in the 90s, That's when they started trying to pass it at a federal level, is what it was, which they directly did. Backdoor dealings between like basically 89, 90, 91, place in there, up through like 92, 93 and stuff like that. And then eventually it became 94 was when they had to push that shit under Bill Clinton, is what it was. And there was a reason that sunset clause after a decade, basically, because they knew for a fact it was unconstitutional. The entire point they were trying to push to begin with, and their so-called like BS of it was being like, oh, well, we want to make sure that like this actually proves that it would take down, violence and stuff and whatnot, and like shootings and everything else like that. In reality, that stuff was already going way down at the time, because you finally had law and order be, back to square one kind of thing. And the thing was with that, it didn't do shit, dude. There was still all kinds of massacres happened during that, dude. There was one in 1998. It was a 12 and a 13-year-old. I forget what state that was in. But basically, it was two, preteens / teenagers doing that shit. And then you had the one guy who was a teacher at that school, ironically enough, was the son of the woman who actually murdered a girl in her basement in the 1970s, which was the, I'm trying to think what the chick's name was. Sylvia something or other. It was basically, they did a movie about it years ago. Ellen Page played the main lead role. And then it was the chick from 40-Year-Old Virgin that played the love interest of Steve Carell's character. She was the actual mother. And it was her like 12 or 13-year-old son that was actually then grown up like decades later that became that teacher guy that was talking about that stuff. And he was like, yeah, I don't understand these kids these days. It's like, bro, you literally helped kill a girl like 20 fucking years before that, asshole. Like, what the fuck are you talking? How the fuck did you ever become a fucking educator in this country, dog? Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, that's the problem with fucking, sealing juvenile records and stuff like that. That kid should have never been out of fucking prison after that, dude. He should have been an adult male in prison at that point, dude. Not in a fucking teaching role, for God's sakes. But, yeah, so you had that one, and then you had, obviously, Columbine was the most well-known one in that time period then. There was a couple other ones, and of course we had, 9/11 happen after that, which isn't really a massacre, but it's, terrorist attack on U.S. soil is what it is, though, underneath that time period then. And then it was basically a bunch of other stuff happened, and then eventually, as a 19-year-old, I was finally able to buy a gun. Finally able to buy an AR or an AK then, when it finally sunsetted is what it was. And that's the thing. And you look at what's interesting, too, is when you look back at what was actually banned in the original assault weapons ban in 1994 and stuff like that, it was all cosmetic features for the most part, dude. It was like pistol grips, this, and fucking flash hiders, that, and bayonet lugs. And that's what's interesting, too, as well, by the way. If you look at what they're doing now, they keep trying to say bayonet lugs and all this other shit all the time is what it is, dude. Because what they're doing, actually, is they're taking a fucking thing from like 40-something years ago is what it is, dude. Blowing a bunch of dust off of it, and then just trying to throw it back on the table is what it is again. The difference now is, though, is that you would have no sunset clause, you would have no fucking thing, nothing be grandfather in all at that point, dude. It would just be them trying to ban everything outright. And it wouldn't be just cosmetic features either. They would ban every version of every gun, basically, if they got their way, is what it is. It would start with all the various rifle calibers and stuff like that, all the different rifles and shit like that, ARs, AKs, any kind of platform that even looks like that. So you'd have like, and they even basically said as much when they were trying to do that stuff recently, because they were bullshitting about like, oh no, but the 22 long rifle versions would not be banned, except they totally would be eventually, is what it is. When they didn't get their way the next time, it would just come back around for those, then it would be, dude. But yeah, so you pretty much have every centerfire caliber rifle banned in this country. And what's interesting too is actually when I forget if it was Tom Massey or if it was, I want to say Matt Getz, maybe. I think it was Massey, though. I think it was Tom Massey was the one that brought up like pictures of stuff like M1 Garands and things like that were actual so-called weapons of war is what it was, dude, that actually were like in military conflicts and shit like that over the years and wars and stuff. And we're like, he's like, yeah, these wooden caliber rifles or these wooden stocked rifles and, various higher calibers and much more potent calibers like, 30-06 and all that stuff like that. He's like, yeah, man, y'all don't want to ban these, even though they were actually used in like World War I, World War II, Korea, etc., but you want to ban these modern sporting rifles over here that can be reloaded much faster, but you still have to do one pull of the trigger, and they actually make less of an impact, is what it is. Because that's the big difference, is that, 5.56 does not make as big a hole as 30.6, does not have as much power as it either, by the way. Hell, 5.56 didn't even have as much power as fucking 7.62 does, dude. AK hits a hell of a lot harder than AR does, dude. I was watching a video here a few months ago from that Reed Hendricks guy, and he was actually showing the difference and stuff like that of like the power between the two calibers and stuff like that. And he was like basically dumping almost an entire mag out of an AR to basically like fuck up a cinder block like a little bit. And then he shot it with he shot a different cinder block that was the exact same diameter and everything else like that with an AK. And it was like 1 or 2 rounds and the fucking block was just gone, dude. And he was discussing about like, yeah, if you're going to have, try to use your house as concealment, it's not really like, cover and having the ability to save your ass if you have somebody shooting it with an AK and stuff like that. Or if you're going to be shooting through with an AK, it's going to do a lot of damage kind of thing is what it is. And he's right about that too, by the way. That's also why people tend to go with like shotguns and stuff for like home defense a lot of times, because you won't have penetration through like walls and stuff like that, especially if you have like, thin walls or like thin like barricades is what it is what it ends up being then, because it's going to be a lot less to have it go through that and be able to stop it at some point and you like a stud or something like that versus, rifle caliber rounds or whatever the case be. Not to mention if you fire off a rifle inside of a house, it's going to make your fucking ears basically bleed at that point. So yeah, not a fun day, man. I can tell you that firsthand as somebody who has fired a small caliber handgun. And when I say small caliber, I don't mean small caliber, but I mean small handgun, basically is what it is. A Ruger LCP and 380 without ear protection. Dude, that shit rings your ears bad. And you're talking about a fucking handgun doing that. Like, oh my God, I hate to fire an AR in this house, dude. Like, holy fuck. That would not be a fun day for anybody. But, yeah, what's interesting to me too is that, going back to the thing of with this Walmart attack recently here, the fact that the shooter in question was both a minority and then killed himself, I guarantee this shit's going to be out the fucking door in like 10 seconds flat. There's going to be almost no talk about this ever again after the next couple days. Here's what it is. You'll probably have them talk about Thanksgiving tomorrow and Black Friday over the weekend and stuff like that. And then it'll be pretty much next Monday, Tuesday. You're not going to hear anything about this ever again, basically, would be my guess, honestly. Like, you'll probably hear like one story tonight or something like that of them being like, oh yeah, alleged shooter was this person or whatever the case be. And then it's like, zip, out of the fucking news cycle entirely. Because again, it doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit the narrative of, straight white male, basically. Oh, he wasn't a right-wing conservative person. Okay, let's go ahead and bury that fucking lead. Oh, he was actually some trans motherfucker that committed Club Q. Okay, we got to shove that shit out the fucking cycle now. Oh, shit, the next guy was a fucking minority that killed a bunch of fellow employees at a Walmart. Yep, got to throw that one out the fucking window too. Okay, when's the next one going to come along? Like, that's how the mainstream media works at this point, man. The 24-hour cycle and shit like that. It's just one tragedy after another for these sick-ass tragedy pimps is what it is, man. So, anyway. I'm pretty much over it, is what it is. And I think that, honestly, we are coming to a precipice in history right now where you're going to see people start fighting for their rights legitimately. And I believe, truthfully, people like myself, we are the new breed of fighters in this Second Amendment advocacy, activism, constitutionalist mindset is what it is. We're not the old FUD fucks like the NRA. Hell, we're not even most of these fucking like states' rights gun groups and stuff anymore, dude, that are nothing but a bunch of assholes out to line their own damn pockets is what it is, dude. Like your Buckeye Firearms or your Ohio Gunners, stuff like that. No. Ohio Patriot Education Network. Any dollars that we take in go directly back out, and it would be to fight in lawsuits or pay for gas money to, or actually to be used for gas money to pay to go down to the state house and actually fight against anti-gun laws and push for pro-gun stuff is what it would be then. And the same thing with any of our sister networks across this country. Any other pens out there would be the same deal there. It would be any dollars they take in would be used directly for that. And if we found out that they were taking in money and weren't using it for that, guess what? They would get their asses sued then by us. Because I'm not going to let them use the moniker if they're going to fuck around like that and try to use our shit for everything else like that, dude. No, I'm not with Ohio gun owners. I hate Chris Dorr. He's a fucking asshole, dude. I've talked about this before. The Dorr family is a bunch of scumbags. They are 100% in it for the cash only. Dorr has done almost nothing to help the Second Amendment. He actively fucked over people like myself 3 years ago after the Dayton Massacre when it came to us trying to do a grassroots Second Amendment sanctuary movement in the state. And it wasn't until Dorr realized later on that he could actually make money off of it that he then jumped on the fucking bandwagon and tried to push it at a state level then, after we did all the work, by the way, to do it in like 30-something counties here is what it was. And actually, while we're talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the work that I helped create, actually, in this state in the last 3 years now. As long as I can get this map to come up here. Because there's a lot of work that was done by myself and other people in various organizations, whether it be Stark Stands United, whether it be Ohio Patriot Network, which was a different thing entirely. There is a lot of grassroots activism and advocacy that's been going on in the state for at least the last 3 to 4 years now. That has nothing to do with Ohio Gunners, has nothing to do with Buckeye Firearms, nothing to do with any of these organizations, dude. We're not affiliated with Gunners of America. We're not affiliated with Firearms Policy Coalition or anything else for that matter. It's just us. It's just us, a bunch of gunners in the state, getting shit done, trying to do our thing, and being sick and tired of being fucked over is what it is, dude. Being sick and tired of having federal government try to fuck us is what it is. But yeah, basically, and going back to what I was saying a minute ago, though, this is the current map, as far as I'm aware, when it comes to how many counties in the state of Ohio are now Second Amendment sanctuaries. Obviously, there's various things for various things in these. All the green on this map is basically every single one of those counties has now become a Second Amendment sanctuary over the last 3 years or so through various county commissioners. Dark, Ross, and Tuscarawas, all their county commissioners voted no on those things. Specifically with Tuscarawas, it's because it was some lone wolf jackass who, instead of actually working with Stark Stands United and doing the thing that they needed to do about stuff, which was basically, hey, we made you a copy and paste thing. All you have to do before you print it off is change Stark County to Tuscarawas County and then hand it to the county commissioners. And this dumbass didn't even do that, dude. He literally printed off the thing with Stark County still as the thing and handed it to Tuscarawas County commissioners and was like, passed a two-way sanctuary here. And they're like, this isn't for our county, you fucking moron. Get the hell out of here. And that's basically how that went, verbatim. I forget exactly what the T's are in this thing. I want to say the C is no, that's right. So going on how I did this map because of autistic mind and stuff like that. So you have basically a few things here. You have obviously so we got red dots, yellow dots, blue X's, black X's, green T's, and then a green C. So the C would be, I think, a city that passed to a sanctuary at a city level or whatever. The T's would be the townships themselves within the counties and stuff. And then obviously anything that's in green is just the county itself then. But yeah, basically going back to the Chris Dorr thing. So it was when you had Meigs County was one of the first ones, along with like Gallia and stuff like that down here at the bottom, which, by the way, if you look at the Ohio map and you compare it to like the actual nationwide map, where all these counties at the bottom go around at and stuff like that, is right where our border is right where West Virginia would meet us up then, is what it is. And you have all these people down here that are basically offshoot people. Their cousins and stuff like that live in West Virginia is what it is. And they're basically just big families, what it is down in those counties and stuff like that. So Meigs had been a two-way sanctuary for years before this, and then it eventually ended up getting wiped away because the county commissioner was getting replaced and stuff like that. So you had to redo it every go around is what it was then. And so they, I think, were like the first or second one to do it, and that was in December of 2019. Or no. Yeah, it was 2019. Okay. Yeah. Because this is right before everything really kicked off with Corona and stuff like that. So a lot of this happened right before all that shit too, by the way. So they did it like December 2019. They were the first one to basically sign on, and it basically was starting to go like wildfire. And you had, I think it was either Venton or Gallia was like the third or fourth one or whatever. And it was around that time you had that piece of shit Chris Dorr go to Meigs County and was like, "Hey, Meigs County commissioners, could you please rescind this now because I can't make money off of this, and it's actually a grassroots movement doing this." And they were like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself, Dorr." So yeah, that's why I don't like Chris Dorr, by the way, because he directly tried to fuck over a grassroots initiative I was part of because he couldn't line his own fucking pockets, is what it was, dude. And that's what I'm saying. There are people who are not really 2A in this community who want to sit there and fucking front like they are. And they're the scumbags of our society, dude. Now, granted, that being said, has Chris Dorr and Ohio Gun Owners done quite a bit for the state of Ohio when it comes to pro-gun stuff in the last couple of years and stuff, dude? Yes. You know who's done just as much shit? I have. 350 plus days of my life. I was on the phone almost every fucking day to my state reps, I should say, not my state reps, my state rep and other representatives in the state of Ohio that are part of the Republican Party here, calling up like 50, 60 something people every few days is what it was. Throughout that day, weekly cycle is what it was, dude. Same thing with the state senators and stuff like that, calling up multiple state senators every single day, dude, and being like, "Hey, when are you guys going to bring this stuff up to committees? When are you guys going to do votes on this? When are you guys going to do your job? I'm going to hold your feet to the fire until you get this done," kind of shit. So that's the entire point then, is I might not have been the guy down there testifying in favor of this stuff, dude, because I couldn't get down to Columbus to do so. I was the motherfucker on the phone every single day being like, "Hey, do your job, get shit done, let's do this." And I was there to get it done, dude. And it was people like me that were the ones doing the real legwork in the background, dude. You know, Door's one of these guys that goes down there and is like, "Oh, let me go ahead and talk about these kind of things to people." Which, by the way, I like to point something out with Chris Dorr, by the way. You want to know why other gun groups don't come down to testify for shit? Because fucking Chris Dorr's bitch ass never fucking tells anybody when the goddamn committees are going on for it, dude. So none of us can actually get down there and testify in favor of these things. Or testify against the anti-gun shit. That's the problem with people like that, dude. They want to sit there and act like they're a fucking savior of the Second Amendment and stuff like that when they're not. They're just some fucking asshole who's trying to take money out of everybody else's pocket, dude. They're actually doing shit is what it is. That's why I can't stand that motherfucker. That's why I can't stand Buckeye Firearms for that matter, dude. Because they're even worse than Dora is, actually. Because they're the ones that'll sit there like fucking Jim Irvine and company like that, dude. Which now, granted, Jim Irvine has been with Buckeye Firearms for a couple years now because of the fact he was fucking us over for fucking decades. The guy was literally doing backdoor deals with Kyle Kellner and shit like that down our state house, dude. And watering down every piece of program legislation for the past decade or more. And then it was a couple years ago, they finally threw his ass out of that is what it was, dude. But even Dean Rink and stuff like that, dude. That fucking organization, Buckeye Firearms, takes in tens of thousands of dollars pretty much every month. And I'm guessing several $100,000 a year or more. And have done next to nothing to actually go for pro Second Amendment stuff in this state, dude. And that's the problem with all these pro-gun orgs is what it is, dude. For them, it's a fucking business. They realize that if they actually solve the Second Amendment or get things done here is what it is, pro-gun legislation, etc., it's going to mean less money in their pockets. And that's the problem right now. So, anyway. To answer that question, we do have a Twitter account. I don't use it very much. Sorry, my connection's getting messed up right now. But, yeah, I do have a Twitter account out there. I just don't use it a whole lot, except to call out politicians usually. Tell them to do their jobs, basically. I don't use Facebook for this thing because they banned me too many times is what it is. So it's basically YouTube, and then sometimes Twitter is what it is. I don't use Telegram. I don't use Instagram. I don't use any of that stuff like that. We do have a channel. Do you have a channel on Rumble? I think I was going to create a channel on Rumble. I don't know if I ever did or not. I had a backup channel for the actual original channel this was part of, but yeah. So yeah, I don't. There's a lot of social media I don't use, is what it is. The problem is it's too much, man. Like eventually, it's one of those things where you have like 50 different social media accounts and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, this is too much for me, kind of thing. So it's usually the basics. It's usually just YouTube and maybe Twitter and stuff like that, or something else for that matter. I know I did MeWe for a little bit, and that was because the original group that I was part of, Patriot Network, basically got banned on Facebook over some stuff, which ironically enough, this is what's sad, right? And this goes back to social media censorship. It wasn't even the fact that we were a pro-gun group at the time. It was that you had people using our group to push for medical freedom stuff. And because they were targeting medical freedom people at the time, they basically got our group a bunch of strikes and stuff like that on that site. And it was like, oh no, your group doesn't exist now is what it is. It's like, what the fuck, bro? So yeah, that was basically an issue there is what it was. And again, I have no like let's get it serious though, man. I have no problem with medical freedom people because they do tend to go in line with a lot of 2A stuff is what it is. And we're all a bunch of fighters for Second Amendment and constitutional rights and stuff like that. The problem is though, if you're using our 2A group for your medical freedom stuff, like not cool, bro. Especially when it gets us all fucked is what it is at the end of the day. So anyway, but yeah, there's a bunch of good people there in the medical freedom community. Going back in history, I wish I would have gone down to the State House during that time period in like April, May of 2020 when they were down there, you know, calling out DeWine's bitch ass and stuff like that, and Amy Acton for being an unconstitutional cunt and everything else like that. So I didn't get a chance to, unfortunately. But yeah, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened back then, dude. Actually, for those who don't know, this is an interesting story. Going back to that time period. So May the 4th, which is obviously, you know, Star Wars Day, but I believe it's also, I want to say it's also the Kent State Massacre happened and stuff like that. May the 4th, 2020, you had DeWine basically have a whole bunch of state troopers stacking up at the inside of the door while families were outside just asking to reopen the state, man. Like, that's the kind of tyrant shit we had to put up with in the state, and that guy won a re-election. That's the sad part, man. And again, I believe a lot of the fact that, you know, Mike DeWine's leprechaun magic had to do with the fact that it was him versus psychotic nut Nan Whaley. They were both criminals. He basically did a bunch of criminal shit and then just sort of, you know, pushed a bunch of other stuff and then basically tried to act like he was doing a bunch of stuff now is what it was for job creation, everything else like that. The guy reelected is what it was. There were multiple write-in candidates in that election. Unfortunately, none of them were actually on the ballot as being able to be picked, period. Which if they had been, I guarantee DeWine would not be governor anymore, dude. If Frank LaRose had not been a little bitch and actually certified Pastor Neil Peterson to actually be on the ballot as an independent, I guarantee you Neil Peterson would be the next governor of Ohio right now. So, but yeah, it's just fucked up, man. Like I said, I'm just over all of it, man. But I don't know. It is what it is. If anybody wants to jump on the panel, I'm going to go ahead and throw out the link here because I'm going to be ending this for a little bit, and I'll probably do a little bit of stuff in the back chat here. But yeah, other than that, I'm getting a little tired. I got some stuff I got to do here in a little while as well. So, but yeah, if I can get this to actually function so I can post here. We'll bullshit in the back chat here for a little bit or not. But anyway, yeah, it's a whole thing. To answer the JD Vance question, I voted for JD. I think he's a good dude, honestly. I don't think he's gonna fuck us. At least I hope he won't anyway. I mean, granted, if I was him though, the one thing I would have done is I would have told our Portman to go fuck himself and be like, I disagree with your endorsement. I refuse to accept your endorsement, sir. Fuck you, rhino asshole. Like, that's what he should have said to that dude to his face. That to me would have shown something there. And the fact that he didn't kind of pisses me off. So anyway. Oh. Hang on. Shit is not functioning for some reason right now.
Lies and lies and propaganda. What's up, brother?
There we go. We got a wild core in the house. I think we're probably going to call it a day then, and we'll bullshit in the back chat. If anyone wants to use the link, use the link. We'll talk some more about these topics, but other than that, that's pretty much right for the day. I will see you guys in the next one.